Hey, I'm T, columnist at Blackout Magazine. I'm here today with the amazing Justice Poetic Roe Williams. He is a poet, an activist, a fitness coach, and an author. And I'm so happy that he was able to join me here today to answer some questions. And so y'all can get to know him a little bit too. How you
Well,
feeling,
thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm
man?
just going to say something funny. It's probably going to be about my age. But remember that movie with Janet Jackson and Tupac in it? And her
Poetic
name was
justice.
just that, yeah. That popped in my head. I was like, oh, poetic justice, yeah. All right. All right, Janet Jackson.
All right. So I guess we might as well just go straight into the questions. You know, can you tell me a little bit about your journey into fitness and activism and what motivated you to combine these two?
Um, so that's a good question, actually. Uh, So I guess we could go with the timeline. I was always an activist and I was always athletic, like into movement, right? Always. And I think throughout my life, I learned so much from movement, right? And being an activist. But these things seemed very distant from each other. My activism, whenever movement was included around my activism, it was included to prepare me for a battle or a war, right? Or yeah, basically to prepare me for a battle or war. That's my young years when I was doing political prisoner activism, and I was really like putting my body on the line, like dropping banners in crazy places, getting arrested. So we had to be athletic. We had to be physically fit in order to at least run away from the cops and not get, caught up. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, but in throughout my life, recognizing that there was this complete difference within working out, the way we view movement and working out and movement and activism. Like, even though they're both the same word, they are not seen as being connected, right? And so I've learned this throughout my life by being a part of so many activist spaces and finding in those spaces not being able to move authentically as I am in all those spaces, meaning being my whole self. So in my 30s, my movement went from just like working out and activism to really thinking about how I can instill a holistic idea of health and wellness within the trans masculine community, right here in Boston, Massachusetts. And in doing that, recognizing the activism that had to happen in movement spaces around bodies, generally learning more about gyms and gym culture, even though I've been going to gyms all my life. Like I haven't been going to gyms all my life to dissect it. I just go to work out, right? But during this time, because generally I want to make sure that gym spaces are accessible to transgender bodies, to our bodies, right? And that we are able to move authentically and freely in those spaces, right? And not be judged in our bodies, right? So I was working at Mike's Fitness, and just a lot of folks, even though I wasn't a fitness coach, that was trans would come to me and talk to me about, you know, preparing themselves for surgery or just getting in the body that they feel comfortable. What they could use movement as a tool to create more euphoria in their body, right? And so I started to think about the activism that I had to do to make people feel safe in the gyms that I was a part of. I was thinking about the people that go to the gym that aren't queer and trans, right? That still feel similar stigma in their bodies, right? Thinking about the culture of gyms. And so that to me made me realize that I don't want this movement of liberation to be individual or interpersonal. I have to actually begin to think about it on an institutional level, systemic level. And so in doing so, it will free up space for us as a larger trans queer community to be in spaces, movement spaces, and find our authenticity in movement, being our whole selves. So I went from being an activist in separation, meaning like being an activist around, race, or being an activist around gender, or being an activist, to just being an activist about what does it mean to find love in our bodies and project that love to others so that our relationships that we build interpersonally are rooted in love, systemically are rooted in love, right? So that we're passing that on generation to generation. And therefore, fitness for all bodies and the activism that I've been doing in my past, I'm going to say 8 years, 9 years within the fitness industry.
Okay. Now, let's talk about fitness for all bodies. Your book,
Oh, deconstructing.
yeah, Decon. Let me see. I got to take my little blur off real quick.
Yes.
Deconstructing the fitness industrial complex. Let's talk about the book a little bit. So what inspired you to write this book, and what is the message that you hope that the readers will take away from it?
Um, there's so many layers to that question. Uh, I want to try to figure out a way to keep it short and simple, because there's the stigma around being Black and having access to writing a book, right? So was it really ever my dream to write a whole book? I think that dream uh, was not something I was dreaming when my eyes were closed. You know what I mean? It wasn't a part of my story until later on in life. And so as an activist, I think it's rooted in being a part of so many activist spaces and not being able to be all of who I am in every space that I walk in, but often just giving my heart and giving my purpose as an activist. So meaning I would be in political prisoner spaces and not being seen in my transness and not being seen in my queerness. I will be in queer spaces and doing activism about queerness and not being seen in my Blackness, not talking about white supremacist culture, not being able to um, talk about all of the elements of the systems that that my relationship to these systems, right? And so I felt like we needed to have a tool where we are able to bring all of the elements of our identities together and honor that, right? And that becomes a part of our activism as we are understanding our responsibility as actively moving toward collective liberation, toward being activists to identities that we don't even see ourselves in, right? It becomes our responsibility to just fight for all of us, right? And I wanted that element to be a major argument in this book, a major element of, because when we read books, we get one perspective and we tend to, stick with that perspective if it feels good to us. but we never reach out and look into things that will challenge us, right? That will provide a space for us to think critically about things. So I wanted all of these perspectives to be in this book, a space where we see ourselves, but we're able to see how diverse we are as a collective society in the ways we can work together to acknowledge and honor all of our bodies, not just in the ways we move in our bodies, but movement and liberation as a whole. So I don't want people to think that this is a fitness book. It's actually about ways that we could look beyond ourselves and make deeper, heartfelt connections and move together. So it's a collection of fitness instructors that are working with diverse bodies, but also have an alternative way of thinking about fitness. It's not this prescribed, you got to go to the gym. Fitness is about losing weight, BMI, things like that. We actually deconstruct the ways that fitness engages with our body through white supremacist culture, and we decolonize ourselves. We detach ourselves from that toxic ideology of movement in space and time.
Thank you for that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I really like how you explain that as well. And if I hadn't already started reading the book, I would have definitely bought a copy just from that description right there. But the next question I have, I feel like you already answered you most of it in your description of why you wrote the book. But as a Black trans man, how has your identity influenced your approach to fitness instruction and activism?
It helps me to see things across the spectrum. I have the privilege to have experienced things as a Black woman, and I had the privilege now to experience things as a Black man. And I have also experienced what it felt like to be non-binary, in between, right? And in all of those sensations in my body, I respect my journey. I respect, I don't put ill will in the feelings that I felt around my body. I don't attach that to the journey that I have have been a part of to be who I am today. Because without all of those experiences, I would not be able to be um, who I am today, right? And I honor and acknowledge that. And so that to me, I think we are the revolution if we're able to heal from the pain of patriarchal, white supremacist, capitalistic society, right? If we're able to heal from that, right? Because that has a deep imprint on all of our lives, right? All of us as trans individuals, and especially those of us who meet at the intersections of race and gender, right? And I'm going to point out, not just because I'm Black, but because this United States produces anti-Blackness. So I really want to highlight that as part of the work that we have to do when we're thinking about this. And I say this because, you know, everyone that comes on this soil learns to hate Black people. Everyone that comes on this soil, no matter their race, identity. It is intricate as a part of the system to hate Black people and Blackness, right? So part of that work to me is really deconstructing that and understanding the ways that that shifting that narrative moves us all, no matter what race, no matter what identity we are, towards liberation and freedom. And if we're not deconstructing it, no matter how we're affected by oppression against that, we'll never be free, not on this soil. Um, so it's really about, to me, understanding all of those elements, right, in that we hold in our body, not just our transness, but our queerness, right? To me, it's my blackness, right? My race, right? And seeing how we don't separate that. Like, we don't separate that. So me as a Black man of trans experience, I can't stop being Black, right? I mean, that's a forever thing, right? So that's integral in my liberation and movement towards freedom, right? So helping everyone, like just like with that book, My Movement, everything that I do is really about connecting the dots. It's not just about my identity and my experience, but the ways that we can build our experiences together and really think critically about each other's experience. And what is my relationship with you to ensure that we both have a healthy experience in society, right? So your fight becomes my fight becomes your fight. And it's not just about, well, we're trans, it's about we're people. We're people in this shared society that experience injustice with an understanding that the root cause is white, supremacist, patriarchal, capitalistic society. We all understand that, and with that understanding, we can move accordingly together. I hope that
That's
answered your question.
that answered my question and the next question. You always a step ahead. So moving on a little bit, as both an activist and a fitness coach, how do you navigate advocating for inclusivity while promoting personal health and wellness?
So
Like what's that balance for you look like?
I think that balance to me is keeping it real with folks and letting people know that even trainers, right, have bad days, aren't as consistent, right? Like the reality of life is that we carry a lot of weight beyond movement spaces on our shoulders, trying to survive, navigating a workspace with uh, micro oppressions or micro aggressions, right? And we're absorbing all of this negativity and we're producing, like we're using a lot of energy all day that we don't acknowledge that we're using because it becomes a part of that normal, right? Which it shouldn't be normal, but it becomes a part of our normal grind, right? Our normal grind, we give off a lot of energy. So I keep it 100 with myself and I share that with my clients. And I you know, we explore what it means to um, be easy on our bodies, to not look at movement as a prescribed idea for our bodies, to acknowledge all the movement that we do in a day, and the days that we're doing movement and moving things and lifting weights that may not be free weights, right? I tell people cleaning the house is a workout, right? And depending on what you're doing with your laundry, that's a workout. You know, I got to bring my laundry up and down stairs, right? Walking to work is a workout. Walking down the street is a workout. Standing up and sitting down, that's a workout. Your body's moving, right? I think we have been sold and lied to through capitalism that we have to follow this prescribed idea of what movement is and that is the only way we will get well. That's a lie. And what I do is, I challenge myself every day to unlearn those ideas because we all learned that, right? So I'm not perfect. There's some days I think, wow, I didn't hit the gym today, and I'll feel bad. But the thing about me is I'll check myself. I'll be like, what am I feeling bad about? You know what I mean? Like, just in a session with one of my clients, I was telling them to be easy on themselves, right? So we all do that. Everybody. There's no superhero, right? There's no superstars. It's just life. And guess what? It's okay. And it's okay to acknowledge that because that's how we connect to each other. I'm not going to connect to you by being like, my workouts are the best every time. I get in there and I'm like, yeah, man. No, that is a lie. And I do have workouts like that. I do have workouts where my energy's on point and everything I do is like pristine, right? But I also in between, I'm mainly in between, right? And sometimes I'm not moving. And I'm like, that's okay. I think a lot of the times when we think about fitness, we distance this idea of everyday practical movement as a part of our fitness, right? So everyday movement is a part of our fitness because it takes energy to do. You're burning calories. You're doing exactly what you would be doing in a gym. You're doing exactly what you would be doing with a weight by picking up, you know, a load of laundry, taking your garbage out, right? So that to me is moving my activism within the fitness space, right? But expanding on it because a lot about activism is education, right? And so I'm really funny when it comes to I have to know the history of things. So if I'm going to teach anybody, anyone, anything, even about bodies, I got to know even about the culture. Where did gyms start? Why did they start? Right? It started for men. They actually fitness was for war, right? It really wasn't, in the beginning of time, fitness was particularly for soldiers. That's why it's so militaristic. And we think about these roots that created fitness, right? And where we are incorporating these ideas, right? So it's not rituals and practice that are cultural to us. It's ritual and practices that have went through certain areas like Germany, that's gymnastics, bodybuilding, that's Russia, Germany, you know what I'm saying? Like we're learning these things and these roots are not coming from what feels culturally relevant to us, right? So it's things that we internalized from who institutionalized, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, and it feels good to hear you say that too because I knew I was slacking on my push-ups today myself. So, you know,
Oh, and love yourself for it. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I
So
think we get more out of our rest period than our workout itself because we're always moving, right?
right. So, what advice do you have for other trans individuals who may be hesitant to start or continue their fitness journeys?
I say think outside of the box. That fitness is not always what we think it is, right? I would also say if you can, love yourself, regardless of what the world throws at us. Because once we do that, that love is our armor. And once we have our armor on, only thing we have to do is polish it at times when we're slipping. You know what I'm saying? So find a way to put on that armor because you're worthy and you're strong enough, right? The world ain't got nothing on us.
That's true. And so now looking ahead, what are your goals for the future in terms of fitness and advocacy and inclusivity?
Um, I'm going to continue just being what I am, just loving, just being a big ball of love and trying to express that within any industry I'm a part of, right? No matter where I end up or no matter where, I'm 50 years old. I don't know how long I'm gonna be rocking and rolling with these kettlebells. You know what I'm saying? But to me, doesn't matter what industry it is. I'm really about holding people accountable to their mission and vision, walking towards liberation. And if we can't do that authentically, then I will figure out a way myself to do it the best way possible, to be as effective as I can, to create as much as an impact in the lives of those that I love, right? So that is my journey, and that's always been my journey. I'm always about the people, and they'll never change because I don't know if that's the Leo in me because I'm like Leo the lion, you know what I mean? I don't know if it was because I was born on the same day Fidel Castro was born. That's a day of like activism. I don't know. I don't know if I was born during Black August. You feel me?
Right.
But whatever it
Just
is, I'm
saying.
for us. Yes, I'm
Right.
for the people, and that will never change.
Now I always ask everybody I interview this one last question. Now, what is the Justice Roe theme music? So I mean, what is that song that gets you going in the morning and it's like you when you walking into the gym, even if that song ain't playing, it's playing in your head. It's the song that you sing to in the shower to get you hype. What would be your theme song?
What would be my theme song? I haven't really listened to music in a long time. You know, it's mad weird. I think that, and I love music. It's nothing about it. I think that when I'm in movement spaces these days, I need to be attuned to what's happening inside my body. So I'm more, especially because I still love kettlebells. And as I get older, I'm beginning to feel the sensations of age, right? And I think just listening to my internal has been like the key. But you know, I rock with anything. I don't have a specific song. Like I rock with anything Janet. I mean, if you put on that Janet and Busta Rhymes, those two, if
Oh,
you put
okay.
on that Janet Busta Rhymes flow, yo,
That's it.
that'd be my jam. You know what I'm saying?
That's it for
I
you.
rock that. Yeah,
Make your body sweat.
Yes, you remember it. Yeah. You
I
remember
definitely
it.
remember it. Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
big Janet fan. I love her. Love her. You
Yes.
know what I mean?
That was my number one song that I love because it was two people that I really liked back then, you know. And then the other one is the one that she did with Michael.
Scream.
Scream. Yes. Yes. My two favorite. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, yo, Scream. And I just saw Janet in concert and she did. I'm like said that Michael's gone, right? But I'm always energized when people are doing like things that honoring Michael, acknowledging Michael, like what Michael had brought to the industry. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's always beautiful to see Michael with Janet, right? Or whenever, you know what I mean? That performance was pristine when they did it together. The video was pristine when they did the video. And I love how when she does it now, she brings the video like he does his parts and she does her parts live. And that to me is also an energy. You know what I mean? To have in a connection, even though he's gone, he's still with her, he's still with us.
Right.
And that was probably a lot, but I
No.
really get jiggy with that.
So tell the people where they can find you at. I'm gonna also share it. But what's the best way to contact you? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
The best way to contact me is, you can message me on Messenger. I'm better at connecting when people contact me through Instagram Messenger and Messenger than I am. I know this is bad than I am with my own telephone, but I think because a lot of the business that I've been doing and a lot of the support that I'm doing with my community, people who are following me, I want them to know that I'm there with them. And so I jump on and I answer right away. So at Instagram, I'm Justice Roe or Fitness for All Bodies. You can also jump on the Deconstructing the Fitness Industrial Complex, or it's called the Fitness Industrial Complex because I couldn't fit the whole title in there. So the Fitness Industrial Complex, yep, at Instagram. And those will be the three ways. And, you know, I don't know who's on Facebook still, but, you know, I'm Justice Roe on Facebook. You know, I don't know who's there. I feel like, you know, remember that MySpace or whatever that space,
I
that
mean,
thing that happened before? I
they
still got one
everywhere.
of those. Yeah.
They everywhere. So, I just really wanted to thank you for taking the time out of your
Thank
day
you for
to,
having me.
yeah, for sure. So if you haven't read the book, read the book, connect with Justice, and I hope you have a great night. And I'm sure we're gonna connect to keep this liberation thing going.
That's right. That's right. Thank you
All
for
right.
having me.